Expand your vocabulary with our Core 2000 Words ebook. It's free and packed with essential expressions that you'll use on a daily basis. Start building your vocabulary today. Click the link in the description below to download your free Italian ebook before it's gone.
Ciao a tutti, sono Consuelo. Hi everybody, I'm Consuelo and welcome back to ItalianPod101.com's Italiano in 3 minuti, the fastest, easiest and most fun way to learn Italian. In the last lesson, we learned the most common forms of greetings in Italian. We talked about greetings like ciao, buongiorno, buonasera, and so on. Today, we are going to learn a very useful phrase. Do you speak English? Using this phrase as opposed to speaking English to someone is important for many reasons. For one, if the person you're speaking to doesn't understand English, at least they'll be able to understand what you're saying. Furthermore, that you've made an effort to learn even a little bit of the language shows a lot of respect on your part. So, for these reasons and many more, we are going to cover this very important phrase. Are you ready? Allora, cominciamo! So, let's start! Now, here's the informal way to say it. Parli inglese? Parli inglese? In this sentence, the verb parlare, to speak, is inflected in the second singular person tu. You can easily recognize it from the ending part of the verb parli. To learn how to properly conjugate are verbs like parlare at the present indicative, please look at our Absolute Beginner series. You can find very detailed grammar lessons if you check upon ItalianPod101.com. But now, let's go back to parli inglese. Inglese is the adjective that means English. When asking the question, do you speak English in a formal situation, you should switch the verb parlare into the third singular person, lei. The result is parla inglese? This sentence could be very helpful if you're in trouble on the streets, in a restaurant, at a hotel. No matter where you are, whenever you need to talk to an English speaker, just ask, parla inglese? Adding scusi, excuse me, the sentence becomes more polite. Scusi, parla inglese? Scusi, parla inglese? The responses you will receive could be basically one of these three. Sì. Sì. Un po'. Un po'. No, non parlo inglese. No, non parlo inglese. Since this last one is a negative statement, we should say non before the verb. With io, Italian for I, the verb changes into parlo. That is why I do not speak is non parlo. Non parlo. Now, it's time for Consuelo's tips. For those of you who are not only English speakers, you can obviously use this question with any language you need. Italians study other European languages at school, so maybe you get lucky. Just substitute inglese with francese for French, spagnolo for Spanish, and tedesco for German. In today's lesson, we mentioned scusi. In the next lesson, we'll learn these and other ways to apologize in Italian. It's never too late to show your good manners with Italian people. I'll see you in our next Italiano in 3 minuti lesson. Ciao, alla prossima lezione!
With these can-do videos, you'll see real-life situations where you have to introduce yourself, talk about your family, or give your contact information. So, by the end, you can do them yourself in Italian. This video is a small portion of our can-do course. To get the full course, including translations, grammar tools, and assessment tests, click the link in the description.
Welcome to Can Do Italian by ItalianPod101.com.
Ciao a tutti, sono Felice Angelini. Hi everyone, I'm Felice Angelini. In this lesson, you learn how to tell someone where are you from in Italian.
This is Mark Lee, and he's on a plane to Italy. Paolo Parisi, a passenger sitting next to him, asks, "Where are you from?"
Di dov'è?
Listen to the conversation and focus on Mark's response. Note the speakers in this conversation use formal Italian. Ready?
Di dov'è?
Sono di New York.
Once more with the English translation.
Di dov'è?
Where are you from?
Sono di New York.
I am from New York.
Wondering how you can master these conversations even faster? Here's how. 1. Read along. You get the lesson conversation and translations inside our dialogue tool so that you see each word as you hear it and understand it all. 2. Practice speaking. By shadowing what you hear, you can also record and compare yourself with native speakers with our voice recording tools. And 3. Take our assessment tests and see how much you remember. These tools are part of our Can Do course. Just click the link in the description to get them.
Let's take a closer look at the conversation.
Do you remember how Paolo Parisi asks, "Where are you from?"
Di dov'è?
First is
Di,
meaning from in this context.
di, di,
Next is
dov'è?
a formal phrase which translates as, "Where are you?"
Dov'è?
First is
Dove?
where.
Dove? Dove?
Next is
È,
you are when using formal Italian.
è, è,
Note
è.
is a shortened form of
Lei è,
you are. In Italian,
lei,
you, when using formal Italian, can be omitted when it is understood from context.
è,
Is from the verb
essere,
meaning to be.
essere. Dove?
Is contracted with
È,
to form.
dov'è?
Altogether,
Di dov'è?
where are you from?
Di dov'è?
Remember this question. You'll hear it again later in this lesson.
Now, let's take a closer look at the response.
Do you remember how Mark Lee says, "I am from New York"?
Sono di New York.
First is
Sono,
I am.
sono, sono,
Note in this sentence
sono.
is a shortened form of
Io sono.
I am. In Italian,
Io.
I is usually omitted as it's understood from context.
Sono.
Is from the verb
Essere.
meaning to be.
Essere.
Next is
Di.
from in this context.
Di.
Last is the city,
New York.
New York.
New York. New York.
Altogether,
Sono di New York.
I am from New York.
Sono di New York.
The pattern is
Sono di city name.
I am from city name.
Sono di city name.
Note this pattern works only with the names of cities, villages, or towns. To use this pattern, simply replace the city name placeholder with the name of your hometown city. Imagine you're from Sydney. In Italian,
Sydney. Sydney. Sydney.
say, I am from Sydney. Ready?
Sono di Sydney.
I am from Sydney.
Sono di Sydney.
Let's look at some examples. Listen and repeat, or speak along with the native speakers.
Sono di New York. Sono di New York.
Sono di Bologna. Sono di Bologna.
Sono di Seattle. Sono di Seattle.
Sono di Londra. Sono di Londra.
Sono di Roma. Sono di Roma.
Sono australiana. Sono australiana.
Did you notice how the last speaker uses a different pattern?
Wondering how you can master these conversations even faster? Here's how. 1. Read along. You get the lesson conversation and translations inside our dialogue tool so that you see each word as you hear it and understand it all. 2. Practice speaking. By shadowing what you hear, you can also record and compare yourself with native speakers with our voice recording tools. And 3. Take our assessment tests and see how much you remember. These tools are part of our Can-Do course. Just click the link in the description to get them.
Sono australiana.
I am Australian.
Sono australiana.
Instead of
Di.
plus the city name placeholder, she uses an adjective for her nationality. This pattern is
Sono nationality.
I am nationality.
Sono nationality.
In Mia Martin's case, she uses a feminine adjective
Australiana.
to describe herself.
Sono australiana.
In the case of a male speaker from Australia, he would use a masculine adjective
Australiano.
to describe himself.
Sono australiano.
I'm Australian.
Sono australiano.
You can use this response to answer the question.
Di dov'è?
You should be aware of this pattern, but for this lesson, we'll use the pattern
Sono di city name.
I am from city name.
Sono di city name.
Let's review the key vocabulary.
Bologna.
Bologna,
Bologna. Bologna. Seattle.
Seattle,
Seattle. Seattle. Londra.
London,
Londra. Londra. Roma.
Rome,
Roma. Roma. Let's review. Respond to the prompts by speaking aloud. Then repeat after me, focusing on pronunciation. Ready? Do you remember how to say New York? New York. New York. And how to say from? Di. Di. Do you remember how Mark says, I am from New York? Sono di New York. Sono di New York. Do you remember the formal way to say, where are you? Dov'è? Dov'è? And do you remember how Paolo Parisi asks, where are you from? Di dov'è? Di dov'è? Do you remember how to say London? Londra. Londra. And how to say Seattle? Seattle. Seattle. Do you remember how to say Rome? Roma. Roma.
Let's practice. Imagine you're Jack Jones from London. Respond to Paolo Parisi's question. Ready?
Di dov'è? Sono di Londra.
Listen again and repeat.
Sono di Londra. Sono di Londra.
Let's try another. Imagine you're Emma Esposito from Seattle. Ready?
Di dov'è?
Sono di Seattle.
Listen again and repeat.
Sono di Seattle. Sono di Seattle.
Let's try one more. Imagine you're Felice Angelini from Rome. Ready?
Di dov'è?
Sono di Roma.
Listen again and repeat.
Sono di Roma. Sono di Roma.
This is the end of this lesson.
Now, here's what you can do to cement this conversation in your head. Review the conversation with our dialogue tool and lesson transcripts. Study the key words and phrases with our spaced repetition flashcards. Review the key grammar and cultural tips inside the lesson notes. And test yourself with our assessment tests. So click the link in the description right now and sign up for your free lifetime account to access our Can-Do course.
Well done! Now you know how to talk about where you're from in Italian. That's all there is to it. Keep practicing and move on to the next lesson.
Ciao a tutti, sono Consuelo. Hi everybody, I'm Consuelo and welcome back to ItalianPod101.com's Italiano in 3 minuti, the fastest, easiest and most fun way to learn Italian. In the last lesson, we learned how to be grateful saying grazie. Today, we learn some of the most common greetings used in Italy. Pronti? Are you ready? Allora, cominciamo! Let's start! The most used informal greeting is ciao. Ciao. Ciao means hi, hello, and goodbye. That's why we use it when we meet, but also when we leave. We should only use this greeting with relatives or friends. And now, let's talk about some more formal greetings. The one you're used to hear in Italy and at italianpod11.com is buongiorno. Buongiorno. Literally, buongiorno means good day. However, we could also interpret it as good morning or good afternoon. As a rule of thumb, we can use buongiorno only during the daytime from morning until evening. During the evening, we say buonasera. Buonasera. So, since sera obviously means evening, buonasera stands for good evening. Buongiorno and buonasera are used when we meet someone, but when we leave, we don't say them again. In this formal situation, Italians use arrivederci. Arrivederci. Arrivederci means goodbye. Finally, in Italian, we use the expression meaning see you soon, that can be considered both formal and informal. That is, a presto. A presto. Now, you can greet people in many different ways in Italian. Ciao. Ciao. Buongiorno. Buonasera. Arrivederci. Arrivederci. A presto. A presto. It's easy, isn't it? Now, it's time for Consuelo's tips. In formal situations, Italians commonly greet one another by shaking hands. On the other hand, if we meet someone we are very friendly with, we kiss each other on the cheek. Don't be afraid to do it with your Italian friends. It's normal. Ciao!
Ciao!
In the next lesson, we learn the meaning of the phrase parla inglese? Do you already know it? We'll be waiting for you in our next Italiano in 3 minuti lesson. Ciao, a presto, alla prossima lezione!
Want to master grammar so you can speak properly, express yourself better, and understand more? In this video, I'll show you how to master grammar with our lessons and learning program. Let's begin. Number 1. Listen to the lesson conversations and explanations. In every lesson, you learn a conversation. Then, our teachers break down every word and grammar rule. So you're actually learning grammar rules in the context of conversations, and you can easily see how they're used. Once you're done, review the conversation again and again to remember what you've learned. Number 2. Read the bonus explanations and tutorials. With the lesson notes, you get extra grammar explanations and examples that are not presented in the lesson. After you're done with the lesson, read the lesson notes for extra review. You can even save them as PDFs so that you can access them anytime. Number 3. Leave a comment on the lesson. Once you've learned a grammar point, be sure to use it. Leave a comment in the comments section. Write some example sentences for practice. Our teachers will review your comment and give you feedback. Number 4. Unlock even more grammar lessons. If you want to find all of the grammar lessons available, visit our lesson library. Under Category, choose Grammar. You'll get all of the pathways and lessons dedicated to helping you learn and master sentence patterns and grammar points. So, if you're ready to finally learn a new language the fast, fun, and easy way, sign up for your free lifetime account by clicking on the link in the description. Signing up takes less than 30 seconds, and you'll start speaking from your very first lesson. If you enjoyed these tips, hit the like button, share it with anyone who's trying to learn a new language, and subscribe to our channel. We release new videos every week. I'll see you next time. Bye!
Hi everybody, Marika here. Welcome to Ask a Teacher, where I'll answer some of your most common Italian questions. The question for this lesson is, what are modified nouns? In Italian, you can modify nouns. That allows you to convey feelings such as love, hate, or irony in a concise and effective way. Modified nouns, called nomi alterati, can take different endings that convey different feelings. They are usually divided into categories. Let's see which ones. To describe something positively or negatively, you can use vezzeggiativi and dispregiativi. Vezzeggiativi express endearment. Some common suffixes are uccio and ino. For example, tesoruccio, sweetheart, gattino, kitten. Dispregiativi express dislike. Common suffixes are accio and astro. For example, scarpaccia, ugly shoe, giovinastro, loud. To describe the aspect of something, you can use accrescitivi and diminutivi. Accrescitivi indicate a big size. The most common suffix is one. For example, ragazzone, big boy, nasone, big nose. Diminutivi indicate smallness. Common suffixes are ino, etto, otto, ello. For example, topino, little mouse, bacetto, small kiss, leprotto, small hair, alberello, little tree. Be aware of fake modified nouns, or falsi alterati. These are words that look like modified nouns but mean a total different thing. Matto means crazy person, but mattone is not a big crazy man, it's a brick. And mulino means mill, not a small mule, that's mulo. Italian children often learn funny nursery rhymes in school about these false modified nouns. Here is one I just invented. Ready? Take note. La gomma per cancellare, il gommone per andare al mare. Col burro puoi cucinare, ma del burrone non scivolare. Se vedi un lampo, c'è il temporale. Se vedi un lampone, lo puoi mangiare. Which means the eraser to erase, the raft to go out to the sea. With butter you can cook, but don't sleep on the ravine. If you see lightning, that's a storm. If you see a raspberry, you can eat it. Pretty fun, right? Do you know any other false modifying noun? Let us know in the comments. A presto! See you soon! Hi everybody, Marika here. Welcome to Ask a Teacher, where I'll answer some of your most common Italian questions. The question for this lesson is, what are masculine and feminine nouns and how are they different? In Italian, all nouns have a gender. A noun can either be masculine or feminine. That applies to plural nouns too, and to all the words that can modify nouns, such as articles and adjectives. Other Romance languages have similar system of masculine and feminine nouns. It's a trait that comes from Latin. The gender depends on the origin of the Latin word. English doesn't have masculine and feminine nouns though. So the easiest way for English speakers to tell a noun's gender is by looking at the last letter of the noun. If a noun ends with O in the singular and E in the plural, it's usually masculine. If a noun ends with A in the singular and E in the plural, it's usually feminine. For example, sedia, meaning chair, ends with an A, so it's feminine. La sedia. In the plural, le sedie. Libro, meaning book, ends with an O, so it's masculine. Il libro. And in the plural, I libri, ending with an I. The OI for masculine and AE for feminine rule doesn't always work though. Most of the time, but not always. There are some exceptions like la moto, meaning the bike, which is feminine, and il problema, meaning the problem, which is actually masculine. To make things even more complicated, there is a third class of nouns ending with e in the singular and I in the plural. These can be masculine or feminine depending on the word. That's why it's important to learn nouns and their respective genders together with the right definite articles. The definite articles are different from each gender, so they'll help you remember. For example, take bicchiere, meaning glass, which is in that third category of nouns ending in e. The right article for bicchiere is il, so il bicchiere is masculine. How about nave, meaning ship? The right article for this one is la, so la nave is feminine. Again, there is unfortunately no formula to find the right gender. The Latin origins of words go way back, and often people don't know why some words have a certain gender today. Your best guide is going to be our first rule, singular o and plural I for masculine, and singular a, plural e for feminine. Just try to memorize the articles with the nouns, and before you know it, the gender classifications will come naturally to you. Woo! That's it for this lesson. Please send in any more questions you have, and I'll try to answer them. A presto, see you soon! Hi everybody, Marika here. Welcome to Ask a Teacher, where I'll answer some of your most common Italian questions. The question for this lesson is, what is gerundio? Gerundio, or in English, gerund, is a verb non-finite mood. This means that you don't need to conjugate it. It's very similar to the continuous form of English verbs ending in ing. As we said, it's very convenient as you don't need to conjugate it. It only has two endings, ando for verbs ending in are and endo for verbs ending in ere and ire. Another reason why it's easy is that it only has two tenses, present and past. Here are some verbs in the present gerund. Parlando, talking, from parlare to talk. Cadendo, falling, from cadere to fall. Dormendo, sleeping, from dormire to sleep. To form the past gerund, use the right auxiliary essere, to be, or avere, to have, in the present gerund, plus the past participle of the main verb. Here is the past gerund of the same verbs. Avendo parlato, having talked. Essendo caduto, having fallen. Avendo dormito, having slept. You can use the gerund alone for two actions happening at the same time. Studio ascoltando la musica. I study listening to music. To say why something happens. Essendo stanca, andrò a letto. Being tired, she went to bed. To express a possibility, a hypothesis. Volendo, potremmo andare al cinema. If you wanted to, we could go to the movies. Another way you can use the gerund is combined with the verb stare, to stay, to be. If you combine the present tense of stare and the gerund, you get the present continuous. For example, sto studiando italiano. I am studying Italian. Tu stai leggendo. You are reading. If you combine the imperfect tense of stare and the gerund, you get the past continuous. Stavo studiando italiano. I was studying Italian. Tu stavi leggendo. You were reading. Pretty easy, right? If you have any more questions, please leave us a comment. A presto, see you soon! Hi everybody, Marika here. Welcome to Ask a Teacher, where I will answer some of your most common Italian questions. The question for this lesson is essere o avere? How can I choose the right auxiliary verb in compound verbs? In Italian, when forming compound tenses, such as the present perfect or passato prossimo, you'll need an auxiliary verb. This will either be essere, to be, or avere, to have. In English, you don't have to make this choice, as you only need to have. That's why deciding which auxiliary to use in Italian can be a bit difficult at first. Let's have a look at some rules that will help you choose the right auxiliary. The first thing you need to remember is that transitive verbs always need avere. Let's see some examples. Io ho mangiato una mela. I have eaten an apple. Mangiare, to eat, is a transitive verb, meaning that it can have a direct object. Giorgio ha guardato un film. Giorgio has watched a movie. Guardare, to watch, is also transitive. Abbiamo conosciuto Laura. We have met Laura. Conoscere, to meet, is also transitive. Reflexive verbs, on the other hand, always use essere. Let's see an example. Mi sono innamorato. I have fallen in love. Innamorarsi, to fall in love, is reflexive. Verbs in the passive form also use essere. La mela è stata mangiata. The apple has been eaten. È stata mangiata, meaning has been eaten, is a passive form of mangiare, to eat. What about intransitive verbs? Some use essere and others avere. Although there are no set rules, here are some things you can look out for. For example, intransitive verbs of movement always use essere, such as andare, to go, and arrivare, to arrive. Here are two sample sentences. Ieri sono andata a Venezia. Yesterday I went to Venice. Siete arrivati tardi. You have arrived late. On the other hand, intransitive verbs of movement, where the destination doesn't need to be mentioned, always use avere. Some examples are camminare, to walk, or viaggiare, to travel. A few sample sentences. Abbiamo camminato tanto. We have walked a lot. Ho viaggiato in treno. I've traveled by train. One last thing. There are some cases where both essere and avere are acceptable. This mainly happens with verbs about the weather. Piovere, to rain, nevicare, to snow, grandinare, to hail, tuonare, to thunder. So you can say è piovuto, but also ha piovuto. Both means it has rained. Pretty interesting, right? If you have any more questions, please leave a comment below. A presto, see you soon!
Expand your vocabulary with our Core 2000 Words ebook. It's free and packed with essential expressions that you'll use on a daily basis. Start building your vocabulary today. Click the link in the description below to download your free Italian ebook before it's gone.